It was 7:42 a.m. on a quiet Saturday morning, the kind where even the birds seemed to be sleeping in, when the peace was shattered by the sound of metal scraping against wood and the gut-wrenching crunch of a fence collapsing. I shot up from my chair, coffee spilling over my shirt. My first thought? Please tell me that wasn't my fence. I ran outside, and sure enough it was. The once sturdy wooden barrier I'd spent 3 weekends building now lay flat, splintered and buried under the front bumper of a silver SUV. Behind the wheels sat Karen, our self-proclaimed HOA enforcer, the woman who once measured my grass with a ruler and left a warning notice for my Christmas lights being too bright. And now there she was, seatbelt still on, sunglasses perched on her head, holding her phone like she was already preparing her defense. "Good morning," she called out, like she hadn't just driven through my property. "You might want to fix that fence. It's a safety hazard." I blinked. A safety hazard? "You crashed into it!" Karen stepped out, completely unfazed. "Actually, I swerved because your fence is too close to the sidewalk. It's technically encroaching onto HOA space. So, I'll need you to cover my repair costs." My jaw dropped. This woman had the audacity to destroy my fence and somehow make me the villain. I tried to stay calm. "Karen, you just hit my property." She tilted her head, crossing her arms. "And your property hit my car. Don't play dumb, Michael. You'll be hearing from the HOA and my insurance." I swear I could feel my blood pressure spiking. My neighbors started to gather, some pretending to walk their dogs, others filming from their porches. Everyone knew this was about to explode. Karen kept going. "If you fix your fence properly this time, maybe I won't file a complaint. But I expect you to handle my bumper too. That's just being neighborly." Neighborly? The woman who once fined a family for painting their mailbox blue? I took a deep breath, snapped a few photos of the scene, and told her, "Karen, you're not pinning this one on me." She smirked. "We'll see about that." Little did I know, this was only the beginning of the storm that would turn our entire neighborhood upside down. By Monday evening, the story of Fencegate had spread through the entire neighborhood like wildfire. Every dog walker, jogger, and mail carrier knew what happened. And of course, Karen loved every second of the attention. When the HOA sent out a special emergency meeting notice, I knew exactly who had called for it. I walked into the clubhouse, and there she was, front row, arms crossed, lips pursed in her signature "I own this neighborhood" pose. A folder thick with printed photos sat on the table before her. She had built her case. The HOA president, Mr. Daniels, cleared his throat. "All right, let's keep this civil. Karen, you asked for this meeting. What's the issue?" Karen stood, straightening her floral blazer like she was about to deliver a court verdict. "Thank you, Mr. Daniels. As you all know, last Saturday, I suffered a terrible incident due to Michael's unsafe fence placement. My car sustained damage when I was forced to swerve for safety. I'm requesting that the HOA order him to pay for my repairs and rebuild his fence to code." The room went silent. I could almost hear the collective eye rolls. I raised my hand calmly. With all due respect, Karen didn't swerve. She drove straight into my fence while texting. I have the footage from my security camera to prove it. That got the room buzzing. Karen's confident smirk flickered for the first time. "You have footage?" she said, voice suddenly tight. "Oh, crystal clear," I replied, pulling out my phone. "You can even hear you yelling at your GPS right before the crash." The HOA members leaned forward as I pressed play. The sound of her SUV smashing into my fence echoed through the speakers. Then came her voice. "Ah! Stupid fence!" Mr. Daniels sighed deeply. "Karen, this doesn't look like a safety issue. It looks like driver error." Her face flushed red. "That's taken out of context. He edited that video." "Karen," Mr. Daniels said, rubbing his temples, "it's from a Ring camera feed, time-stamped, unedited." The room broke into murmurs. Even Karen's closest allies, the HOA ladies who usually backed her, avoided eye contact. She slammed her folder shut. "This isn't over. I'll go above the HOA if I have to." I smiled. "Be my guest." As she stormed out, I knew she wasn't done yet. Karen never loses quietly, and something told me she was about to make this fight personal. After the HOA meeting disaster, I thought Karen would finally back down. I was wrong. If anything, losing in front of the entire neighborhood seemed to fuel her. For the next few days, she barely looked my way. But I noticed things happening around my property. Little things at first. My trash bins, which I always lined up perfectly on pickup day, were mysteriously pushed onto the road. My mail started arriving opened. Even my sprinklers were somehow accidentally switched on in the middle of the night. It didn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out who was behind it. Then came the real kicker. One morning, I walked outside to find a bright orange notice taped to my front door. HOA violation. Unsafe fence rebuild. Potential fine pending. I stared at it, speechless. The fence wasn't even finished yet. The wood delivery was due that afternoon. That's when I saw Karen across the street, watering her roses with a smug grin. She called out, "You can't just throw up any old fence, Michael." "HOA rules are rules." I bit my tongue. "You made the HOA fine me, didn't you?" "Oh, please," she said sweetly. "I just reported what I saw. It's my civic duty as a responsible homeowner." I wanted to laugh at the irony. The same woman who demolished my fence now claimed to be protecting the neighborhood. But instead of arguing, I smiled. Because I had an idea. That night, I gathered my security footage again. But this time, I focused on Karen. I had hours of her walking across my lawn, touching my fence line, even moving my garbage cans. Clear proof she was trespassing and tampering with my property. I sent the footage directly to the HOA and CC'd every board member. Within a day, the orange notice was gone, replaced by a letter taped to Karen's door. It read, "Notice of HO violation, harassment and property tampering under review." The next morning she stormed over, red-faced and furious. "You think you can make a fool out of me?" she hissed. "You'll regret this." I smiled calmly. "Funny? That's exactly what you said before hitting my fence." Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. She stomped back to her car and slammed the door so hard, her mirror nearly fell off. I thought that was the end, but I underestimated Karen's talent for chaos. Her next move would drag the police into the mess and turn our street into a full-blown battleground. By the next weekend, I thought things had calmed down. My new fence was halfway rebuilt. I had HOA approval in writing, and Karen had gone unusually quiet. Too quiet. Then, early Sunday morning, I saw flashing lights outside my window, red and blue dancing across my driveway. 2 police cruisers. And right in the middle of it all, Karen, talking animatedly to an officer while pointing at me. I stepped outside slowly. One of the officers turned toward me. "Sir, are you Michael Davis?" "Yeah," I replied, heart pounding. "What's this about?" Karen folded her arms, smirking. "I'd like to press charges. He vandalized my property and installed an illegal fence that's blocking community access." I blinked. "Illegal fence? You mean the one you crashed into?" The officer frowned. "Ma'am, do you have proof of vandalism?" Karen quickly produced her phone. On it was a photo of a small dent on her car's door. One I recognized from the accident itself. "See? He damaged my vehicle again." I couldn't help but laugh. "Officer, that photo's from 2 weeks ago, and I have camera footage of her car never leaving her driveway since then." The second officer stepped forward. "Do you have that footage handy?" "Sure do." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. Time-stamped. Crystal clear. The officers watched as Karen stood next to her car, taking close-up photos of the same dent, clearly trying to make it look fresh. Karen's face went pale. One officer turned to her. "Ma'am, filing a false police report is a serious offense." Her composure cracked instantly. I didn't mean to file it. He's harassing me." "Everyone's against me!" Mr. Daniels, the HOA president, appeared just then, holding a folder. "Actually, officers, our board already reviewed everything. She's been warned twice for harassment and property interference." Karen froze. "You, what?" Daniels sighed. "And since you violated HOA conduct rules again, your membership privileges are suspended. Effective immediately." She gasped, like someone had just told her the world was ending. "You can't do that. I am the HOA." "Not anymore," he said, walking away. The officers gave her a warning and left without another word. Karen stood there trembling, staring at my new fence, perfectly straight, freshly painted, and stronger than ever. I looked at her and said, "Guess we both learned something today, huh?" She didn't answer. She just got in her car, and this time drove very carefully away. That was the day the entire neighborhood learned. Karma always parks itself right where it's deserved. If you enjoyed watching Karen finally get what she deserved, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more wild HOA stories, and drop a comment telling me what you would have done if Karen crashed into your fence. I read every single one.